It's so hot. 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 The hottest. Hi. We're waiting. We're waiting. Hi. Do-do-do-do. Thank you guys for joining for another Brave Pod. We're waiting for our guests to join. Yeah. I'm so excited. It's Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday. Thank you. It says filthy, but in a good way.
Hey,
Hi, how are you?
good. How are you?
I'm really good. I mean, it's
Can
a little like cloudy today. I wish it was a little sunny. Are you
I
in New
know?
York?
Yes, I'm actually on my basement, so let me just show you a little bit.
Okay. Why are you in
Can
the
you hear me?
basement?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, because my family they're in the house, and they're always talking.
Yeah,
So this is alive. I'm like, I don't want.
definitely.
Yeah,
Honestly, I feel like everyone working from home right now is like trying to hide from their family. Like, where can I take this call where no one will hear my baby
here
sister
exactly.
crying or something?
Yeah. So
So
how are
thank you for
you?
joining. I'm so happy to have you. For
Thank
those
you.
who are watching, this is the Brave Pod. It happens every Friday at noon, and it's a 15-minute conversation with our members or people in the community. And we are a nonprofit organization, the Brave House, that supports immigrant girls in New York City, ages 16 through 24. And we have dance classes pre-COVID. Now we're doing Zoom dance classes, art classes, and all sorts of fun activities via Zoom until we can social distance in person together.
Right.
So, tell me, we're just gonna hop into the questions.
Perfect.
Perfect. So,
Yes.
what would you say are the three places that make up your identity?
Wow, only three? Can I say more?
Only three.
Okay, let me see. I will say my home country, the Dominican Republic.
Okay.
That's where I was born and raised till the age of 17. So
Okay.
I only have 8 years in New York City living here.
That's a long time.
Um,
You're a New Yorker
yeah,
now.
yeah. I feel it's not a long time, but yeah. So yeah, the Dominican Republic, I was raised. That's where all my childhood memories, back home, my family, my cousins, that's where I went to school. Basically, yeah. And then I will say also the second one, having the opportunity to come to this country and get an education.
Hmm.
That's, yeah, because honestly, when my dad told me that I was coming to New York, I was like, no, Dad, I don't want to go. I want to stay here. This is
Hmm.
all I know. I don't know the language. What am I going to do over there? And
Right.
he was like, no, you're going to be fine. You're going to learn. And I'm like, no, I'm 17. Like, it's going to be
You
really
wanted to be
hard.
with your friends.
Exactly. I was 17. I was like in my teenager's year.
Right.
So he was like, no, just come and see if you like it. Apparently like it, but I knew I was going to stay. So I was like, okay, Dad, I'm going to go. I'm going to study something with politics because that's what I want to do. And then I'm going to come back home and do something with like law related. And he's like, okay, yeah, sure. And look, 8 years here. Never went back
He
like to
never went
stay.
back.
Just like for
That's
vacation.
amazing.
Yeah.
And then your
So
last
yeah.
place, or would you say those are the two? So New York City, DR.
Yeah, and also my home because this is where I spend most of the time, and I live with my family and sister and my dad and my mom. So yeah, those are the three places that I will say that make up my identity.
That's beautiful. Did you know that we're cousins?
Yes, because you're from Haiti, right?
I was waiting
Yes.
to see if you were gonna get it. I was like, yeah, we're
Yes.
cousins. Don't we? Can't you tell we look alike? I know y'all could tell. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And how would you say your transition from like, because you were a little bit older, so how would you say you transitioned into like New York City? I know it's a culture shock, completely different. You want to talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that?
Yeah. So I was I think I had like a cultural shock because the language, the culture, interacting with different type of people that I was like, what's this? Like I never heard of this place before.
Right.
But I had my sisters here, my two older sisters, so that kind of gave me like some peace and like some calmity. So yeah. But it was really hard at the beginning because in high school everything was in English. The people, yeah, this they were like from Central America, so they speak Spanish, but it wasn't the same Spanish. Like it was really
Right.
hard for me sometimes to even understand. But I made it through. I did 11th and 12th grade here
Right.
and then college. Yeah. But it was
That's
really hard.
I actually want to talk about one thing you just mentioned, how like there's different types of Spanish. Like everyone's like a lot of people in a lot of countries speak Spanish, but let's
Right.
say like Dominicans speak differently than Colombians, and Colombians speak different than Cubans, and so on and so forth. So like that's so like interesting to me.
Yeah, and I was really impressed. I'm like, what that means? Like I know it's Spanish, but I don't know what it means. So it was really
Right.
funny. Yeah, but it was really interesting.
Would you say that Dominicans have their like own slang and that's why it's different?
Definitely. I mean, we can use one word to describe a lot of things. Like,
Right.
yeah,
And you would
yeah.
say like other Spanish speaking countries, it's not the same.
It's not the same. Yeah, I feel that for me, saying something like, I don't know, like I know what it could mean, but I would have to like read the whole sentence or like they would have to explain to me. So,
Right.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
feel.
That's kind of how I feel about like Creole and French, because in Haiti, everyone speaks Creole at home, but like they teach French in schools. So, I was born in the US, but my mom raised me speaking Creole at home. And then we would go to church and it would be in French, but she would understand and I would have no idea what's going on. And, a lot of words in Creole are so similar to French and even Spanish because it's a mix of all three.
Right.
And I think that I understand French, and then I'll speak French. I'll try to like understand what someone from France is saying, and I understand one word in the whole
Word.
sentence. So I'm like,
Right,
yeah,
right. And
that's not gonna work
yeah,
out.
people think that Creole and French they're like similar, but it's actually not. It's actually not.
It actually is very similar. It's just Creole is so broken down. It's like broken down English, like patois versus English. Both English, but
Hmm.
patois is just broken down to the point
Right.
where you understand 3, 4 words in a sentence, but to speak back, there's no way.
Mm-mm. Right. I mean,
Um,
I took French in college because I was like, well, I wanted some challenge. I know Spanish, and then when
right.
I got to my third level, I was like, no, I can't do this. I
Yeah.
can't do it.
French is
Yeah,
hard.
it
Like
is hard.
it's hard.
Yeah.
So I know a lot is going on with COVID and Black Lives Matter, and just so much is going on in the world. All over the world seems to be crisis. Yemen,
Right.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
So what are you doing to kind of take care of yourself during this time?
Right. So since I spend a lot of time in my house, I speak like we're Dominican, so we talk a lot. Like my mom, my sisters, everyone. So most of the time I'm here home just talking.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I go for a walk when I'm like super tired of being home. I also like to read. So I read like a lot of positive quotes. I try not to watch a lot of news because it gets really overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I've been keeping myself kind of like busy or like distracted from like everything that is going on.
What's one? Did you read a book recently?
Um, well, right now I'm reading a book, but it's kind of challenge. It's about culture. It's kind of challenge also in the language because I'm pushing myself to read more like hard books.
Right.
So I'm reading a book about culture, but I'm also reading a novel, but the English is not like so hard.
What's the novel?
The novel is called How to Lose Her from Juno Diaz. He's a Dominican writer.
Dope.
But it's like kind of in Spanglish, and it has some like words that if you're not Dominican, you wouldn't understand. So it's like really fun. I laugh so much with that book. Yeah, that's also something that I use to distract myself.
I love that. I'm trying to get back into reading too. If I could just focus.
Focus. Yeah, it's really hard. I'm telling you, it's really hard sometimes.
What's one thing that you're super excited about?
Yes. Well, only one. I'm allowed to say one.
You could say multiple. We're here
Okay.
all day. If you
Um,
want to be.
so one thing is that since things are opening up, and I have one sister, one of my oldest sisters, she lives in California, and this is actually the first time that we haven't seen her for like 6 months. She
Wow.
usually take like every 3 months she's here in New York, so
Right.
I'm excited about that. That hopefully she can come and see us, or I can go over there. That's something that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I kind of have something that I'm excited too about. I'm actually going to California, random, tomorrow.
Cool. For the first time, or you been there before?
It's actually my second time. But every time I go to California, it's always a quick trip. It's always like I'm just there for some work thing. I'm like quick. I'm also gonna be super safe. I'm only gonna be there 3 days, and I'm not gonna be out with large crowds or whatever. But
Right.
hopefully, now that they're even allowing us to fly there,
To fly.
you'll see your sister sooner.
Thank you. And what part of California you're going to?
I'm going to LA.
Okay, I never been to LA. I went to San Francisco.
Dope.
San
Well,
Francisco. Yeah.
I never been to San Fran yet.
Yeah.
Like that, I've heard great things about San
Things.
Francisco. Yeah. What
Mm-hmm.
does your sister do
It's
there?
she just moved over there with her partner.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I
Yeah.
love it. Love,
It's really
love, love.
different. It's really different because, from New York going to California, it's just a completely different environment.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now we're gonna get to the fun part of the
Okay.
conversation. We're gonna play a game. It's like called Finish the Sentence.
Okay.
I'm going to start a sentence and you are going to finish it.
Okay. Let's do it.
So my happy place is
My home.
I feel my best when
When I'm working.
we need more of, like the world
Love.
needs more of.
Love.
Immigration is
Acceptance.
bravery is
Um, Speaking your voice up. Speaking for yourself.
what's one thing you wish you were good at? One thing you wish you were good at is
Having more confidence in myself.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what do you do to sort of build your confidence? What do you feel like makes you feel confident?
Um, I actually read a lot of positive quotes and phrases, and I watch a lot of like documentaries about people who've had like anxiety speaking, or like they are afraid of speaking up. So I think that's really been helping me out a lot lately.
Words of affirmation, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
can I ask you why you don't always feel confident speaking in front of people?
Yeah, it could be because I don't like attention, and then I feel people are just kind of pointing at me like for something that I'm saying.
Right.
But most is like when it's a crowd of people that I get like, you know.
Yeah, like, oop, let me
Mm-hmm,
hide. Let
mm-hmm.
me.
Yeah, let me just hide. Yeah.
What do you do for work?
What do I do for work? So right now I'm working in a program called Youth Advocates Program. So with advocates for youth who are currently in care, I do the family finding part. So I try to connect this youth with family or mentors and just build that relationship. That's what I do.
That's amazing. So it's kind of like social work slash case
Mm-hmm.
management
Yeah,
slash FBI work.
everything. Phone
All of the
calls,
above.
like, yeah.
And I heard you say that you want to be a lawyer? You
I
still want
want
to
to
be a lawyer?
be, yeah, I want to work for the immigration in the immigration aspect. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah,
actually, I forgot to say, but I'm actually very excited about a certificate that I'm going to be working on September. And it's about like immigration law and stuff.
that's awesome. What
Yeah.
is this certificate?
It's about like taking few classes on focusing on immigration law. So once I finish, I can have like more credits to work in a law firm.
Hmm.
And yeah. So
That's
maybe like
amazing.
having
I'm
more
excited for you.
credentials. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Well, the last question is, what's something you want to tell someone who's going through something today and who's watching?
Also, something that I tell myself every day. I would say not to be so harsh on yourself. Life is not a competition. You don't have to have everything exactly perfect or have a perfect map. And if you don't do it, that means that you failed. It doesn't
Right.
mean that. Yeah, and just live the present. Be in the present. Be grateful for what you have at the moment. Because like look, we have this pandemic and it was
Right.
really unexpected. So just try to live your best every day. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. But yeah, I even with the pandemic, I feel like so many beautiful tragedies happened. Um, with the deaths of, Breonna Taylor and George Floyd
Mm-hmm.
and so many others. And I feel like I'm glad we now have the time to sit, reflect, and know that this cannot can't go on any longer, and that we
Right,
need
right,
systematic change on so many different levels for all
right.
of our communities. And I feel like if we were working and like everybody was doing their 9 to 5, we would have been way too distracted to be out here in the
To
streets
focus. Mm-hmm.
focused on, change, making change, positive change. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I think what I'm getting from what you're saying is sometimes even in the midst of tragedy, there's some sort of light, there is some sort of beauty, and you have to just find it,
Find it.
and
Mm-hmm.
it'll keep you going.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely.
Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank
It was a
you.
pleasure having you.
Same. Thank you so
And I
much
hope
for
you have,
inviting me.
of course, we will have you next time again.
Thank you.
And have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Have a good flight tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.